Larry London. Welcome to Border Crossings. Joining us today is singer-songwriter Will Varley. From London, Will's music has been described by Q Magazine as excellent. He's been performing in the UK since his debut CD back in 2011 and is currently on tour in support of his fifth new album. A star on the British folk music scene last year, he released a live album recorded at Shepherd's Bush Empire. Will says he is inspired by his heroes like Bruce Springsteen and Bob Dylan. He recently completed his first solo tour in the U.S. and found time to stop by the VOA studios in Washington, D.C. Today, we are joined by Will Varley on Border Crossings. Hi, I'm Larry London. Welcome to Border Crossings. And from busking in London to selling millions of records online, we've got Will Varley in our studios. He's here in Washington, D.C. as a part of his very first United States tour. We welcome all the way from England, Will Varley. It's nice to have you.
Great to be here.
Now, I'm reading about all of your music, and from what I have read, you are in the midst of working on a new album.
I guess so. I mean, I'm kind of, writing at the moment quite a lot. I put a live album out at the end of last year and a studio album at the beginning of last year. So another one is in the works.
In the works.
Yeah.
And the tour right now in the U.S., is that to promote the last year's album?
The last record, yeah. I've done a lot of support tours in America and opened for Frank Turner and Skinny Lister and William Elliott Whitmore and Lincoln Durham, various others. And I felt it was time to try myself, and see what happens.
And how's it going?
Yeah, really well. People are coming to the shows.
Wow,
which is
what a
great.
Concept.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, tell me the difference between, from your perspective, the American audiences and the audiences you're used to seeing back in the UK.
I mean, there's kind of very, very obvious differences, like things like Tesco. I mentioned the shop Tesco in one of my songs, and in America, it's just like, what is that?
Yeah, right.
So there's those little differences that
subtlety.
you don't think about. But in general, other than those little kind of things, I find audiences very similar around the world. People really want to do the same thing, and luckily the language thing is the same. So
right.
I don't have to worry too much.
But not always. I mean, you've played in Germany, you've played in some other countries where they don't speak English as a first language.
Absolutely, yeah, and that seems to work. I mean, Austria, Denmark, all good places for me to play, and yeah, you're right. You're right.
And here in the United States, you did the South by Southwest Music Festival in Austin.
Yeah.
And what was that like?
It was amazing, yeah. I did 10 days and booked into a hotel. I had a baby. My wife had a baby.
I was going to say, really?
May of last year. And so,
congratulations.
Thank you very much. And it was the first time that I'd kind of gone away it wasn't really on tour. I was in the same city for 10 days, but I just got there and just slept for the first 24 hours. I was putting the do not disturb sign. I was like,
finally sleep.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then, it was great. Met a lot of great people, played a lot of shows. And, it's a really fascinating idea to get so much of the world's industry in one place at the same time. You just never know who you're going to have a drink next to, or,
Baby is boy or girl?
Girl.
And named?
Ida.
Oh, beautiful. Where did that come from?
It's the Norse goddess of time.
Ooh. Wow. She'll love that. Thanks, Dad. We're talking with Will Varley, who is here in the United States, first headline tour. And so describe your music. I mean, when people listen to Will Varley, what category would they shop in the local record store to find you in?
It's tough, isn't it? I guess I'm a singer-songwriter, I'm a folk musician in a way. So there was a great comment on one of my videos on YouTube where someone said, I really love his songs, but they are completely inducing of a breakdown.
Really? Oh, thank you.
So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but
wow.
I think I try to write things about stuff that kind of people think about and kind of, I write a lot of songs very selfishly about stuff that I get stuck in my head. If I can't process it, then I'll write a song about it. I
was going to ask you, are these ideas that you have or ideas you think other people might have, or is it a combination of both?
It's pretty much always my own idea, really, and my own kind of subconscious. Often, things will kind of appear. I never really know when I'm going to write a song, which is quite fun when I'm trying to write to a deadline. But
Where's the most unusual place you ever came up with a song?
That's an interesting question. I write quite a lot of songs on planes. I find looking out the window, it's just such a, we kind of live in this little bubble of, but then when you get out there and you see the kind of
big world out there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like, wow, there's, I find that quite intense experience that often makes me think about stuff. Yeah.
Well, we're thrilled to have you here in the U.S. and at the Voice of America. So if you wouldn't mind doing a song for us.
Sure thing. Yeah. This is a song about time. It's called Statues, and it's based on the idea that time is possibly not moving. There's this idea that time is still. I put it all on one last spin. You see, I was hoping that we might be lucky, but I lost it all like the winter loses to the spring. And now I'm hoping that you might forgive me. And I'm thinking to myself, though we never had much else, we always had something to say. And I can't understand, as we made all these plans, how it felt like we needed more days. And the years go by, and she takes each morning with her. But maybe time is a statue, not a river. Well, I drank away the last few weeks, turned him into a single picture. I wish I could show you, but it's fading by the hour. See, I've been trying to find a new mind, a new way of living, 'cause this one is giving me a heart attack. But there's ghosts at every door, looking through my mind, trying to find things to destroy. I'm sure it's speeding up. A decade to me now is like a summer when I was a boy. And the years go by, and I wait to be delivered. But maybe time is a statue, not a river. Why were you so kind to me? Why were you so kind? Why were you so kind to me? Why were you so kind? And years went by, the night is drawing closer. Maybe time is a statue, not a river. And the years go by, and I wish I could go with her. But maybe love is a heartbeat, not a river.
Very nice. Very nice. I like that. That's a great sounding song.
Thank
I
you
like
very
your
much.
voice, too.
Thank you.
Very, very nice. Will Varley is in our studios, and it's interesting. I always find this interesting. British singers sing with an American accent.
Uh-huh.
How does that? Is it because you listened to American music growing up, or what?
Do you think that had quite a strong American accent then?
Yes. There was
That's
nothing in
interesting.
your singing that said England.
Well, I don't know if it sounds that American. I've never thought about it.
If I heard you on the radio, I wouldn't know you're from England. So
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing. I reckon I've got less of an American accent than a lot of singer-songwriters from England. But I guess you could try to sound very English, but then it's not really what I do. So,
right.
I don't know. I have to think about that one.
Now, I know that Q Magazine has said some great things. The London Times, a lot of different publications are praising your music, and it's been validated by the millions of streams that you've sold around the world. Now, since you started this business before, I mean, just streaming was just getting started, a dozen or so years ago. I mean, the industry, what do you think about the industry these days? Do you like it when you started? Do you like it today? Does it make it easier for a musician, harder for a musician?
Streaming's a very weird thing. It's completely split down the middle for me because it does hamper the making a living when you're at kind of, unless you're very, very successful and you have really serious numbers, then it makes it difficult. And a lot of early touring for when you first start a band or first start doing it alone, selling those few CDs at the shows is really what makes it viable, financially. And the CD is on its way out,
Right.
A lot of people don't even have CD players anymore. So
And vinyl's coming back.
Vinyl's coming back, but vinyl's very expensive to make.
Yes.
And it's very heavy and cumbersome,
Yes.
and it's not the ideal thing to be selling if you're if you've got your guitar on your back and you're heading out, carrying a load of vinyls around. They're kind of fragile and
and a turntable doesn't fit in the car too well. So
no, right? Yeah, well, maybe you could have turntables instead of CD players.
That's
in the car.
it.
That's a really great idea. We should
new
try
invention.
that out. So yeah, it's kind of split, because on the flip side of that, it gets your music out to lots of people that wouldn't otherwise have heard it.
Right.
So that's brilliant. A lot of people come to my shows now and they say, "Oh, I heard you on Spotify or on Apple Music or whatever," and that's the other side of it.
Right.
So,
The internet's helped a lot of people, YouTube and things like that. Now, speaking of videos and YouTube, you create your own videos. You're a self-produced man.
indeed, pretty much all of them. Yeah.
Wow. So, I mean, you don't like other input, or you like your hands on yourself, or is it just easier and less expensive? What's the rationale behind doing it all
I'm
yourself?
very, very much. I've come from a very DIY sort of approach. I've always had to do everything. Not had to, but for a long time, I was just. I couldn't get a deal, and I was just doing it myself because I wanted to do it and I enjoy doing it.
Right.
So it kind of instills in you this just you need a website, build a website. You want a music video, make a music video.
Right.
Want a record, make a record. We self-recorded the first 2 albums. So the music video, I really enjoy doing it. I really enjoy working with the visual as a medium, and it's something I'd like to do more of.
And there's a degree of compromise. If you get signed by a major label, you lose a bit of creative control.
It certainly can do.
It gets very political and becomes more of a business and less of an art.
Yeah, that certainly can be the case. And yeah, you've definitely got full control when you're doing it yourself.
Was it always music for you? I mean, is this kind of what you set out
yeah.
to do from the beginning, or were you looking to be something else?
Oh, it's kind of always been music. I mean, originally words were my first obsession. Just the way that words interact with each other, and I guess it's all of our first obsession. My daughter's like 13 months old, and she's just kind of, words are suddenly like this universe is opening up to her because she's able to start kind of working out what words mean and whether she can say stuff. And so
as long as daddy is the first, or dad words that she says. Now, what I mean, will you encourage her to get into music?
I don't. I'll definitely introduce her to music as an option, but I don't think I'll encourage her to do anything that I'll let her, if she's into it, then she can play as much as she wants.
A good dad. You do what you want.
Well, I say that now. We'll see.
That's it. Yeah. Well, obviously you do it well, and she's too young to really appreciate what you do. But as far as, you know, the touring that you've done and the places you've played, do you have favorite places you like to go? You sell out a lot of big major venues, and which is wonderful. And that certainly is validation. But do you have great places that you like to play? Countries, venues?
Yeah, I mean, there's certain cities I find that have a really good relationship with live music. Bristol in England, and places like Nottingham in England, and London. You know, there's certain cities that just really kind of Manchester, really just breathe live music. And I guess it's the same in the States. You know, there's places like Nashville and you know, and Austin, and you know, New York, of course, and there's certain cities, Boston, that just seem to have live music kind of ingrained in the kind of the fabric of the city, and they're always great places to play.
And now that you're touring the United States and you're here for a while, anything you're missing from home, particularly food? Is there, you know, you can't get some of the stuff that you get back. Shepherd's pie, I guess you can find that here, but
you probably could find it. Yeah, no, I mean, I just kind of I just roll with whatever I'm given. Really, I'm quite a good house guest.
It's a thrill for us to have you here in America and at the Voice of America. We don't get a lot of artists who come from other countries to visit with us, so it's always interesting for the worldwide audience who are in many countries around the world to get to know what life is like in other places and what it's like to tour as a musician from a particular part of the world. Where have you been or not been that you want to go? Like, for example, have you been to Africa? Have you been to the Middle East?
I'd love to go out there, of course. I'd love to play in Asia. I've never done any shows. I'd really love, you know, friends of mine have done tours of Japan and had an incredible time. And I'd really love to do that for sure.
Well, maybe you'll get an invite.
Maybe,
this.
yeah. Well, I'm up for totally
we'll
up.
Flash your phone number on the bottom. Of
yeah,
the screen
that's
right
it. Call me now.
Call
now.
Will Varley is with us here on the Voice of America, promoting your 5th album. What's the title of the album?
Spirit of Mini.
And what's the significance of that?
I wrote the song "The Spirit of Mini" in a back of a taxi in Minneapolis. And it's about an apparition that happens during snowstorms, something to do with the magnetism of the buildings that creates this sort of incredible thing between the skyscrapers. And a taxi driver explained it to me as the kind of this female form that watches over the city, and I just really love the idea.
That's great that you get inspiration from places. You know, like that. That's wonderful. Songs come from the most interesting and unique places.
Yeah.
Now, do you think, because you mentioned of a fascination with words earlier, that you'd say that songwriting is your favorite part of the business, or do you have a favorite part?
Yeah, I mean, I do really enjoy the craft of songwriting, but I think playing live is probably my favorite part. You know, when you get into a room of people, and when it works. And, you know, you might have, whether it's 100 or 1,000, 10,000 people, if it's done right, everyone goes to the same place together.
Right.
You know? And it doesn't matter where you're from or what you've been doing that day or, you know, everybody has the same kind of, and we all tune into the same place. And it's just such a buzz to be in control of that and to lead people through that experience is amazing.
And you know, it sounds glamorous. It really does sound, because musicians, if you think about what a musician does, and I can't sing, and I don't sing, and I don't do that, but you think about, wow, to perform for 10,000 people who adore you, it's not that easy, because there are, I'm sure, shows that don't go as you'd hoped.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, there's been a lot of those.
And we'll forget about those.
Yeah, there's been a lot of shows. I mean, I could tell you a lot of stories. I remember playing a show in Cornwall once in England, which is when I was starting out, and there was the only audience I had was 2 guys playing pool in the corner, and halfway through the show they came over and said to the bar guy, "Can you turn the stereo back on? We're trying to play pool."
Oh my goodness!
You know.
Wow.
Yeah, so,
and you were busking for a little while, which means, for those that don't understand, that you were outside, guitar case open, you play on a street and ask people to throw, you know, some money your way.
A lot of busking, and then actually what it turned into in the end was I invented a thing called reverse busking.
You give money back?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'd pay people £1 to listen to 3 of my songs. Because when you're busking, you're doing cover songs. It's fine. People, you know, they like it. But if you start trying to do your own songs, no one cares about it, and you don't get any money. So I started doing this thing where I'd kind of approach people and be like, "I'll give you £1 to listen to 3 of my songs," and then often they'd buy a CD, and you'd kind of
Yeah, well,
you'd
all
make
evens
some
out.
money.
Yeah, well, that's great.
Yeah.
Wow. We're talking with Will Varley. Would you do another song for us?
Sure thing. Yeah. This is a song. I tried to write a history of the world of human beings, or a sort of history of humanity.
Very small subject, my.
Yeah.
Let's not tackle anything too big, right?
Yeah, I kind of like the idea.
The history of humanity.
Yeah, I was reading this book. It's like the kind of a history of the world, sort of in a very small amount of time. And I'd finished reading it. I was like, this would make a great song. So,
Wow.
This song's only 800 billion years long. So
What's it called?
it's called Weddings and Wars.
All right.
Bang goes the big bang, then the darkness and thunder. Adam and Eve were strands of bacteria. Blind we crawl with the birds and the bees. A few years on, we climb down from the trees. And we're standing in Africa, looking at the sky, saying why are we here? What happens when we die? We use God as a word for the things we can't see. Now put on some clothes and let's wait for TV. Well, it doesn't take long till we're painting caves, making some men kings and other men slaves, saying God is our reason, God is our leader. God spoke to me and he told me to kill you. We spread like a virus to every dark corner. Greeks and Romans all laying down boys. The soldiers, the slaves, the queens and the kings. Wherever they were, they all used to sing. Birthdays, weddings and wars. That's all we are good for. Above the same earth, beneath the same stars, you can't hide the beast that we are. Invading, enslaving, then trading the plunder. Tobacco and opium, tea leaves and sugar. Empires built with the bones that are slaughtered. A barrel of booze in return for your daughters. And birthdays, weddings and wars. Nations, they say, mariage, gay. If all of the past was played as a song, then our lives are a beat of the drum. Well, by the dark ages we're getting to guns, still fighting over God and who's got the right one. Still singing and dancing, now we paint on canvas, passing the time with our sex and our violence. The West gets rich, strangles the earth. Romeo and Juliet can't make it work. Factories, A-bombs and flying machines. Finally, someone invents the TVs. And it's birthdays, weddings and wars. Nations, they say, mariage, gay. Above the same earth, beneath the same stars, you can't hide the beast that we are. Instead of hunting, now we go to Tesco's. Instead of talking, now we wear headphones. Instead of mountains, we're heading for Mars. Instead of God, we have credit cards, and we're still year 2000 and something. No peace, economy's crashing. Just singing and dancing and looking at the sky, saying why are we here? What happens when we die? Singing birthdays, weddings and wars. That's all we are good for. If all of the past was played as a song, then our lives are a beat of the drum. And our lives are a beat of the drum.
Ooh, all right. Will Varley.
Thank you.
Here on The Voice of America. And get a copy of the new album. Websites?
Yeah, willvarley.com and Facebook and Twitter and all that
You're
kind
doing
of
it
stuff.
all, social
All of
media
that.
stuff. And you
Tinder.
answer your own, I'm sure, messages. You haven't hired your crew yet to answer for you?
No, no, it's all there. It's all up there.
And Smugglers Records, is that still in existence?
Yeah, that's totally still in existence. Yeah, that's so some friends of mine when I first started out. Some friends of mine who were in different bands, we kind of clubbed together and started a label, which is a great way of, you know, if there's any musicians out there who are kind of trying to work out what the first step to do is, you know, find other people that want to release music and just do it yourself but with friends, you know, and it's a great way to start.
It's gotten a lot easier to release music now with the exposure you get on the internet. People can
the cost of recordings come right down, and you know you can record an album on your iPhone and have it released through an app on your iPhone within an hour. You know, people are doing stuff like that. So it's all there. It's all ready to go.
Who are you listening to?
At the moment, I had a great support act the last 3 days actually on this tour called Anna Rose. She's great. And some good friends of mine, Molly's Lips, just released an EP, and they're brilliant. Yeah.
And so, what is the future, the next 6 months, going to be like for Will Varley? You got the new album you're working on. Can you tell us any more about the new album?
Not really. No.
It's all hush hush. Or?
Yeah. I mean, it's just I'm just writing. So it's like I've got this tour and then a lot of festivals over the summer, and then I will be basically trying to finish writing these songs and get to a point where I you know, work out how to record them and release them. But it's a while off yet.
Next album going to be a concept album, or what? What are your thoughts?
No. It's at the moment it seems to be just so. I'd love the idea of writing a piece of 12 songs that all kind of interlink, but I don't think this is going to be that. It feels to me like these songs are just kind of slowly kind of coming one by one.
That would be kind of cool to make an album of your experiences on your first headline tour in the United States.
That'd be nice.
I mean, that would be a great story.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I won't charge you anything for
the land of no Tesco's.
There you go. Will Varley is here in the studios, and because you're doing festivals and you've done some other shows in smaller venues, how does it affect you when you're playing a show for 10,000, or does it affect you? 10,000 people, 50,000 people, or 1,000 people? Is there a difference in what you do?
I get much more nervous when it's a smaller crowd. I do these secret shows called Sofa Sounds. I don't know if you've heard of those.
No, they're
not
really,
really
anymore.
Great. It's a they're like a global thing now, and they're really cool, you know. But you kind of turn up in someone's front room, and there's 20, 30 people, and no one knows who's going to walk in. So it could be anyone. And I find those really much more nerve-wracking than playing to 2,000 people.
Big crowds. Wow.
Yeah, it's weird because when you can really see people one by one, then that's when it gets kind of intense, you know.
What is the best rewarding feeling for you on stage? When they know the words to the song, or when you see
that's always
hit
cool,
an emotional chord, or what is it that says, wow, that that you really touched somebody?
I think that, yeah, certainly when people know the words, especially when you go far away from home. Like I was in Boston last night, and there was 100 people singing the words back in the front of the show. It's like, that's amazing. It really means that the music's kind of transferring outside of my mind and into other people's heads, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I think silence is probably when you get a rowdy bar and you bring it down to complete silence, then that's I think the most rewarding feeling on stage, when you know that you've kind of really taken everyone to a place.
And they're paying attention.
Yeah.
That's great. Will Varley's with us. One more song before you go.
Okay.
I know we're asking a lot.
No, it's all good. I think I'm trying to work out what to play. I think I'm gonna play this one.
All right.
So I wrote this song about I was kind of going back to what I was talking about before. I hear stories or people tell me stuff and I can't get it out of my head. This was just something someone told me about, and it was on the news, and I went back and read all of the newspaper stories I could find about it, and I just couldn't get it out of my head. So I wrote a song about it. It's called "The Man Who Fell to Earth." It's about a guy who tried to illegally enter the UK by hiding in the undercarriage of an aeroplane. And when the plane came into land, the wheels came down. His body was found the next morning. It's called "The Man Who Fell to Earth." A new star is born in the stillness of morning. In the edge of the universe, time is expanding.
while a hummingbird sings, how in the fields a cold wind blows. A lover is waiting for news by the phone. Across the world there's flashes of light. They've been bombing the city all night. In the end, what's it all worth? This simulation that I am living in, it makes no sense to me. I'm still dreaming about the man who fell to earth. I'm still dreaming about the man who fell to earth. The tears traveling across some skin, molecules of water and sodium spent. Atoms are shaking, so infinitely small, just lights in the darkness, no reason at all.
Will Varley, our guest here on The Voice of America. Obviously, that song seems a bit difficult for you to sing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real story, real person.
Well, we're glad you're here, and we appreciate you and all the great music that you've given. And Coco's Lovers, are they with you still? Are you on the road with your Coco's Lovers?
They are. They're actually the band that we set the label up with.
Gotcha.
And incredible band, yeah. Cocos Lovers, they like the Cocos Islands.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're great, and they're still very much going. I think they're working on a new album, so yeah, check them out. Great band.
And where can we get your CD once again? Your website is?
It's willvarley.com.
All right.
Couldn't be easier.
Couldn't be easier. iTunes, Amazon, all the websites as well. Thank you, Will, for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. It's
nice
been a
to
pleasure.
meet you. Will Varley, our guest, and you have been tuned to Border Crossings. Thanks for watching.